Welcome to the Women Waves podcast. We've got some incredible women with us on today. We've got the amazing Ella-Rae Smith. We've got Theresa Enemua. Again, welcome back, Theresa. We've got the incredible Grace Veenman with us from the Girls Network. So if you ladies want to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Ella-Rae, if you want to go first.
Okay, hello. My name is Ella-Rae Smith. I am an actor and a model and a general awkward human being. And a woman. Definitely a woman.
What have you been up to? I've seen that you've just had Sweetheart come out.
Yeah, Sweetheart, my just dream film. It's the kind of film that I would have watched when I was a teenager. So I feel like when you make the kind of stuff that you would watch now and you know how much it would have meant to you when you were younger, that kind of work always makes my heart sing, and I had the best time filming. So now the film's actually come out. We got into Glasgow Film Festival and won the audience award, which is kind of crazy. It's Marley's first feature film. The first festival it went to, it won an award, and it's been at BFI Flair, which is a queer film festival, which is amazing. Sick. And it's just amazing to see a film, especially a queer film, that's, you know, a lot harder to market and to get out there. To see it do so well instantly is just like, yes, this is what we want to see. This is the kind of, kind of power I want to create when we put something out to the world. You know?
And what's the film about?
It is about a very awkward and angsty teenage girl called AJ who's forced on a family holiday to a caravan park. If you're British, you know what a caravan park's like. You kind of get that that thing. And I also think it's a good setting because you are kind of trapped when you're on a family holiday. When you're a teenager, you don't really want to be there. You're getting too cool, but your mum's like, no, come, we'll have the best time. And AJ finds love for the first time in the form of a sexy, sun-kissed lifeguard called Isla, played by yours truly.
Yeah. Very cool. I love that.
Thank you. I could talk about it for days, so I'll stop because I love that film so much. But I want to hear it. Feel like that.
Where can we see it? Where can we watch it?
It has, I think it's got a day left. What's the date today? Is it 27th? I think today is its last day at BFI Flair. And then hopefully we'll get a cinematic release, but I don't know yet. So hopefully everyone will be able to see it and it will be everywhere. And when I know that, everyone will know.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Don't you
There's going to
worry.
be such a huge loads of films in the cinema once everything opens again that we're just going to be spoilt for choice.
Yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so. I really hope it's just like this massive explosion of art and creativity and all these things that have been waiting to come out. And also in terms of working, I hope that lockdown will end and suddenly all the artists of the world will be like, come on, I have so much inside of me, let's make some incredible stuff. I think it will be a real kind of bounce back into the world afterwards, you know? Everyone's got so much inside of them after this whole year.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. We've also got the incredible Theresa Enemua on with us again. Thanks so much for joining us again, Theresa. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Theresa. It's nice to be back. I'm 15 years old. I'm a secondary school student in Southwest London. I'm the owner of My Body Is Mine. What else? I'm a part of the Lambeth Youth Council. I like politics and entertainment. Yeah.
Tell us about My Body Is Mine.
My Body Is Mine is a charity organisation which raises awareness for female genital mutilation, sexual assault, and period poverty. Yeah, so just making people aware that it is happening and people need to understand and really take action to help. I think when everybody puts their ideas together and decides to help, it makes a big difference. So yeah.
How did you come about starting the charity?
So I did Miss Teen Nigeria, and obviously they're like, you need to start a charity organisation if you win and whatever. So I was like, why don't I start something that is related to me and people that are close to me? So for example, period poverty is a big thing. I've got a lot of female friends, and I'm always saying, oh yeah, guys, someone's saying, oh, I don't have enough money to get pads. Does anybody have a pad? Or my other friend, I can't disclose her name, but she's like, oh, this happened to me, this person did this, I don't know who to go to, and I myself, who is a victim of sexual assault, it's kind of related to me. So I was like, why don't I use use the platform that I have to really speak out on it and address it?
That's amazing that you're talking about period poverty, because I think definitely I know is it in Scotland they've now made like period pads and tampons and things free, which is incredible, especially at schools.
Scotland.
I know, they've done it in schools, which is amazing, and really helpful, because when you do first get your period, it's all very scary and nobody really knows what it is, or
it's like a shock, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, oh my
suddenly this is happening. I'm a woman.
I remember it like it was yesterday,
and now I have to deal with this thing for the rest of my life. And then also that awkward thing when you go to use tampons for the first time, but I don't know about anyone else here, I had no idea. I was like, what is this going inside of me for 8 hours? I don't think so.
What if it gets lost?
Exactly. And then it opens up into this world of moon cups and all these other things, and it's just kind of like this overwhelming choice for something that really is a chore. You know what I mean? Stop trying to make it fun for me. It's not fun. Just give me what I need for free, please and thank you. A tampon, a pad, that's all I need. Let's just get it over and done with. I kind of hate how patronising some period adverts can be when they're like, look, you can do anything on your period.
Oh, yeah.
I know I can do anything on my period. I'm so aware that I'm still the same person when I'm bleeding. You know what I mean?
Oh, and the funniest thing about it, when you think about it, in schools, they give out free condoms and like things to protect STDs and STIs, which, is your choice to have sex and have it, whether it's protection or not. But something that is biological, oh yeah, we can't give you free pads, or you have to do it yourself. And I think it kind of highlights the society that we live in, and it kind of links back to like the patriarchal society, because personally I don't know any female that wears female condoms, but I know males who wear condoms, you know what I'm saying? So you have that, and then it's like something that is biological is out. I think a lot of people, if periods weren't related to pregnancy, a lot of people would not want to have periods, and that's facts, because the pain is absolutely ridiculous. So it's a sad thing, but it's the truth, and people need to be aware of it,
It's funny because I have times where I'm like, yes, my period is here, I am a woman and I love it. And there are other times when I just think, why has nature made my life so unfair that I have to go through with this? I mean, I guess it's kind of, maybe as I get older and think about having babies, I'm like, yeah, I can deal with the fact that I've been doing these periods my whole life, because one day I'll get to carry the baby and that'll be pretty damn amazing, I kind of feel like okay with it to that extent, but also I agree with everything you said, Theresa. It's very, very sexist, the world. Just the world generally. But just small things, you go into a toilet somewhere and there's no bin for sanitary products, and you're like, really
do you want me to carry this around?
Exactly. Shall I just bring it to you, give it to you? I remember going, things like, you go to a boy's house, you stay the night, you're on your period, where do you put your pad when there's no bin in the bathroom? You walk awkwardly into his kitchen holding it, saying, well, here you go. You didn't give me anything to do with this. It's like, it's a thing that men don't think about because they don't have to go through it, and I'm sure there are things we don't think about that men have to go through, but I can't really think of any things that men go through once a month for their whole lives that really already should be in their brains. I don't know if that sentence made sense, but I think you all know what I mean.
Yes, 100% made sense.
I think as well, it's like the stuff that happens beforehand as well. It's not just like 1 week. It's like, your emotions change, and like, especially the week before. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I'm literally like a crying mess all the time. I'll cry if I like miss the bus, and then you get your period and you're like, oh, okay, that's why.
Makes sense.
They say there's like 1 week or like a couple of days where you actually feel yourself in a month, but the rest of the days you're either ovulating, you're either on your period, or something else. So there's no like gap other than that like couple of days that you're.
Yeah, that reminds me actually. I don't know if you guys have ever seen I Hate Susie.
I'm desperate to see
With
it.
Billie Piper.
I'm desperate to see
Oh,
it.
it's
I
so
love
good.
Billie Piper.
It is so good. She's incredible.
Oh my god, she's.
You should watch it. It's amazing. But there's a scene in that where she talks about, I think it's her friend she's talking to, and she's like basically saying that gap that you're talking about, Leash, is when you should make all your biggest life decisions, because that is when you are like the most kind of, you know exactly what you're doing, exactly what you want. And she's like, usually I'm like an emotional wreck during that week. But actually, it's not that you're an emotional wreck. It's that's when everything that's really happening is like hitting you in the face. And it's like, this is how you actually feel about it. And the rest of the month, we're like not doing that. Do you know what I mean? It was a really interesting way of looking at it.
So I'm always crazy.
So we're always crazy, basically.
It explains a lot.
Yeah.
But then the thing is though, but then comes like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with always being a little bit loose. But then comes the stereotype from men that women are just crazy. We're not crazy. We've just got hormones. We're just feeling things.
Yeah.
And also emotion doesn't make us crazy.
No, definitely not.
Not at all.
I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing. I think you have to own your period and not let your period own you. Like at work, we actually now like put it in our calendars, like when we're on and when we're not, to like, you know, give each other space. Or it's amazing working with an all women's organisation. Yeah,
Must be nice.
Then it's like if you're on your week where you're like ovulating, it's like get all the presentations, public speaking, like smash that week out, and then it's like clear my calendar. I'm not talking to anyone. I really encourage everyone to do it.
I love that.
That's amazing.
We should all be talking about it more if that's the way that. I mean, it should be. Work should be like that all the time.
Yeah, you're right.
You should have a calendar of each other's.
We should make it, because I think there's a stigma around menstruation and period poverty. I think we should make it a norm, because it is normal. You know, it's not something that we've created, is biological, it's within us. So I think the more we make people aware, the more normal it is, the more easier it will be to talk about. Be like, oh yeah, I'm on my period, can you please give me space? You know, that kind of conversation can then arise from that. So yeah,
And just and making men aware of it, then it doesn't become a taboo, and then we can move on from having these crazy spouts to having hormone spouts.
Yeah, definitely.
I just like to talk about my period. I'm always like, Adam, I'm on my boyfriend. I'm on my period, just so you know. It's coming up. Today's the day before, and I will be very upset today. I have no shame. I feel like, I don't know, I tried to let go of that shame a long time ago, and it's still hard. It's still awkward sometimes when you're surrounded by men and you're like, oh, I'm going to put my sanitary towel in my sock when I go to the toilet so no one sees it. You know, there are always those moments where you feel like you have to be a bit secretive about it. But why should we all feel embarrassed about something as normal as weeing and pooing? Do you know what I mean? It's just another thing we go through, another waste product. I'm not going to spend my time feeling ashamed because my body's doing what it does naturally. No, sorry, anger.
Period. Ella-Rae. I'm like, come on.
Just
Bring
let
my
me
language.
poop.
I'm not going to say that. It's a bit much. I'm not going to say it's too much.
I want to know now.
But...
Okay, you know when you do that first poo on your period, and you're just like, the toilet's pretty much a crime scene. And you're like, whoa, that came out of me. That's probably the least ladylike I feel every month. But part of me quite likes it, because I'm like, yeah, I'm a wild animal. I'm not a woman. I am not this manicured thing you want me to be. I'm an animal just like you. And I'm dirty and I'm messy and horrible. As well as beautiful and lovely and elegant. I can be both. Why can't I be both?
Both.
Exactly.
We could all be both.
Exactly.
Sorry, very passionate, clearly.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it so much.
We've also got the amazing Grace Veenman, who has joined us before from the Girls Network. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Grace?
Yeah, I'm Grace and I work at the Girls Network, and I'm sure our listeners already know about them, but we're a charity that supports fantastic girls like Theresa, and we match them up to a mentor, and they work together over the course of a year, working on loads of different stuff like their confidence, exploring career pathways, getting out and about into new places and spaces. And we've been really busy the last few months. It's matching season, so we've been matching up girls with their mentors, which is my favourite part of the job, because I get to pair them up and then they get to meet each other for the first time, and the girls just absolutely love it. I was in a school on Wednesday and they all got like little gold envelopes, and it was just melted my heart, and it was so exciting. So yeah, it's been a really fun month for us at the Girls Network.
That's
Oh,
so
that's
good.
Kind of like being a matchmaker.
Yeah.
It is.
That sounds so much fun.
I feel like
Yeah.
You are Cupid.
So what do you do? What do you do in these talks?
We just like try and we go into school and we like get them excited. We call it like a pitch, and then they can sign up to the mentoring program if they want. So it's all about like telling them what it's all about, and then we do like a training session with them where we also get to know them, and they have to kind of get prepared for mentoring. And then we do the matching session, which is what we've been doing over the last week, where you go in and actually like introduce them to their mentors, and yeah, it's all very exciting.
Wow. And then what happens after that? Like, how long does the mentorship last?
So it's a whole
Just
year.
asking all the questions.
Yeah, we should come be a
Wow.
mentor, Ella-Rae. It's like a whole year, and you do like 1 hour a month, so it's not that much time in total,
wow.
but they also kind of communicate in between, and the mentors just support the girls with whatever they need support with. So like Theresa was on our program, she just finished, and as you can see, Theresa's been setting up her own charity, doing incredible stuff.
Theresa's on fire.
I know, Theresa's
doing the
future
most
PM.
incredible. When I was 15, I was just such a mess. And you are so incredible.
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
I'm so excited to see what the next generation are bringing, because from these podcasts, like the young girls are just so intelligent, so like they know so much about the world, and they are willing to we are going to make changes for the world that they want to make, and that's so good to see.
Also, thank you for giving as well the girls a platform and a voice, because I do also think with young people, what is so incredible is if you give them the space to talk and to share their ideas and to contribute and to be inspired, so much comes from that. And I just don't think young people are given enough space to actually have their voices heard and to communicate and to kind of debate, and I think that's really what we're kind of trying to do at the Girls Network with their mentorship. But also it's so fantastic to listen to all of these episodes and hear our girls, as you were saying, just be so mature and considered and thoughtful.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, I feel like when Brexit happened, there was a lot of anger from teenagers that they weren't involved in that conversation, because it was a conversation that they knew would affect them and they weren't invited into it. So I kind of feel like all the things that have happened recently that have been really political and have been out there have inspired the younger generation to get involved, because they know it affects them. They know they have a voice. They know that voice matters, and they have a way to communicate. Social media, it's this, obviously social media has its terrible parts, and it is a big evil in some ways, but it's also really good in people supporting each other and sharing messages and just, I don't know, inspiring each other, building each other up. I think it's really, really exciting. It's really exciting. I feel a bit old now. I don't know about you guys, but we didn't grow up with iPhones. We didn't grow up with Snapchat in our hands. My sister's 17 and she's, Snapchat was her BBM. That's her world, her life. But BBM, those were the days. Those were the days.
This is so unrelated, but I was reading something the other day, and they were saying BBM, the light on a BlackBerry would go off every time you had a message or a BBM or something. It was starting the trying to take your attention away, kind of like social media. It was the beginning of taking your attention away, because it's flashing light. It's I've got a little, because it doesn't go off. You can't actually turn it off.
It was the beginning.
Yeah,
That's scary.
It is mad to think how much, I know for me, definitely, my attention span now is terrible compared to how it used to be. Like, I honestly just, it's mad. And I think there's a good side to it, obviously, like you're saying, but then there's also that side of it where it is just like, your attention is suddenly drawn as soon as you get a notification, or like, I've had to turn all the notifications off my phone, and that's helped quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I just don't go on mine for long periods of time.
That's good. That's good.
It's good for my mental health, but it's bad for my social life, because sometimes I don't reply to texts for like a week, and then I'm like, oh, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I just cannot sit on my phone all the time because it makes me feel like I'm going to explode. You know, like, I don't know about you guys. This is a bit random. I find the idea that anyone can contact me at any point really annoying.
Yeah.
And
And,
you know what I mean?
you're expected
I'm
to
like,
be available immediately as well.
Yes. I'm like, no, I could be doing anything. I like not telling people what I'm doing or where I am on social media anymore, because I'm like, no, you don't need to know. You don't need to know. If you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation like this. Let's talk on the phone. Let's like properly talk to each other.
Yeah.
But I feel like
calls.
the quality, and Zooms, but the quality of my conversation with you on text is so just, I don't know. I would just much rather talk to people, but then that's so hard when you're in a pandemic, because talking like this feels so impersonal. So personal at one point because I can see you all, but so impersonal because I can't like hug you all and, you know, all of that. It's just,
you can't get the energies
hard.
or the vibe in a room.
It's hard knowing how to communicate when you can't do it in real life, when that option's gone, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Ella-Rae has got a question for you, Theresa.
I do. Okay, so Miss Teen Nigeria, pageants, tell us more. Tell me more. What's Pageant World like? I was just saying I'm so curious about what doing pageants is actually like, and I kind of wanted to hear about it because I've done modelling and things like that, which I guess is kind of similar, but I've always watched pageants at a distance and been like, what is this world where you all dress up and look so fabulous? And it's, I don't know, I just want to know more.
I think I can't say I can give you the accurate description of a pageant, only because it was during a pandemic. So it, you know, some things that we weren't able to do. It was a cultural pageant sort of thing. So obviously Miss Teen Nigeria's Nigerian contestants or whatever. It was hard, very competitive. You get people that want to sabotage you, but it's just life, you know.
Oh my God.
People like, you'll get people that, you know, let's say, for example, they want to do this to make you look bad. There are a lot of, like, protocols, like coming late to rehearsals, why you coming late sort of thing. So, like, punctuality, your attitude as well is something, because it all, the points are all gathered from rehearsals to the actual final moment. So the day, like, when you give your performances and whatever. So, yeah, that's what it was like for me. It's very interesting. You get to learn a lot of new things. But I don't like wearing heels. I find it hard. I like trainers. So I had to wear like almost the heels like that size. And I was struggling. I was like, what? Like, imagine then you got those people wearing those really high heels. And I'm like, how do you not feel the pain? I can't stand up properly. And like, even on the day, I think because we did the opening dance and it was a barefoot dance, I stepped on something and my foot was like tingling for like 5 minutes. And I had literally less than 5 minutes to put my shoes on. So I was like, oh, damn. Yeah. But, you know, in the end, managed to work it out. And it wasn't just me. The thing was actually moving about. And I was like, whoa. Because other people were saying, did you step on that? Because I did.
Oh my God.
I was just going to ask, like, how do you get into a pageant? Like, how do you sign up? How do you know where to go?
I think it depends on the type of pageant, because some pageants are done by, like, interviews. But for me, I just went because I already knew people that did it the year before and people were talking about it. You know, I think it was from 13 to 19 or 14 to 19. And I applied. I guess it is a type of pageant as well, because, you know, you have pageants that are for adults, for kids, and then, you know, because this time it was the second year. second edition of the pageant, so they weren't really that strict. You get what I mean?
The outcome of it is your charity, and you've started that, and you've created your own business, so that's something that you've got now forever, that you're able to kind of just keep on growing,
which is incredible.
Imagine what it would be like in like 5 years, how much it would have grown.
From this point on now, I just need to keep going. Those ideas, just need to writing them down, because I don't know who it's gonna like help in the future.
Sounds like you know what you're doing, Theresa. Like, clearly you know what you're doing, you know your voice, and you have a powerful voice, so whatever you do, you're going to be effective. Do you know what I mean? Whatever you do, you're going to make changes and you're going to be powerful. I just feel like you're already there. I'm looking at you right now thinking, oh my God, I know I said this a few minutes ago, but when I was 15, I was such a mess. I was such a mess. Like, I was so self-absorbed in my own kind of mental health and figuring out what I wanted to do in the world. I didn't have the brain to be thinking about helping other people and setting up charities and doing all the incredible work that you're doing. I think that you're amazing. I know that's a bit gushy, but I just had to say it because
completely agree with you.
Yeah, it's so true.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
How did you get into acting, Ella-Rae? Was it acting first or modelling first?
So when I was 16, I did National Youth Theatre, which was life-changing, and I still have friends from there. Some of them don't act anymore, but it was just my opportunity to go and meet people from everywhere. You know, like people from all parts of the country, all different sorts of backgrounds, just this massive melting pot of teenagers having fun together for a fortnight. So I did that, and it changed my life. And then I would just apply to their open castings. I'd just be like, yeah, let's see, maybe I could get a job. And then I got brought in for a recall for something, and I got the job. I got my first film.
Amazing.
Very, very luckily. Around that time, I also signed with my modelling agents and my acting agent. And then I did a modelling job that paid me enough money to leave home. So when I was 17, I moved to London. And I was always acting. I've always acted and modelled at the same time. But it was kind of like modelling was how I earned money, so I could afford to be a failed actor as I tried to get jobs. So I'm kind of like, managed to create a system for myself where I could fully support myself and be financially independent when I was 17, which I'm so lucky.
That's amazing.
That I was able to do that, but also it was...
That is incredible.
Yeah, it was, yeah, thanks.
Have you found like the acting and the modelling go hand in hand in terms of like, from doing modelling, did that impact your acting in any way? I guess with confidence?
I think confidence and perseverance and resilience. Modelling gave me so much resilience, because that's why I asked about pageants, because I've spent a lot of time being judged on what I look like, and I know it's for work, so it's kind of different. It's a confusing space to be in, where your body is your work and your appearance is your work, and for me that was a lot of pressure. But it also means that if I don't get an acting job, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm used to rejection. I'm very, very good at dealing with rejection. I'm very good at being independent. I can go and, I've been just flying over the world, going wherever, hanging out with strangers since I was 17. So I now have the ability to just, jump on this chat and just talk to strangers, and it's fine. And I know how. I used to be so much shyer. So yeah, it's definitely grown my confidence. Definitely. But it's also a very difficult industry to be in when you're a teenager, for sure. I mean, when you're an adult woman as well, but when you're growing and your body's changing and you're expected to be a stick figure still, when you're, it's pretty toxic, but also full of fabulous things as well. It's kind of a balancing act. But I do still love it. I like modelling, because you get to dress up and be this fun character. And, I guess I don't know if you felt this, Theresa, when you put on the heels and stuff, and when you dress up, suddenly you're someone else. And it's not who I am in my life. Yeah, but you're like, okay, I'll be her. I'll be her for a little bit. This is fun. And then I switch back into, like, my gear, and I'm all just bad posture, slouching, being messy. But I like that opportunity to be someone else's muse and to be transformed into like whatever magical world you want to go to. And I suppose acting is kind of that as well, but acting, I am a muse and I become something else for you. But then I'll also add my spice with my words and facial expressions and all of that jazz. It's a very long-winded answer, but yeah, it's definitely made me more confident. Definitely.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, actually. What made you go into the industry? Was it,
That's a good question.
I enjoy acting?
When I was really young, I was really shy. Like, wouldn't say hi to my cousins, would hide behind my mum, level shy. And then I think I was 12. So yeah, in year 6 at primary school, we did a little show and I was cast in the show and I realised I can do this thing, acting, and I really like it. And I'm doing something right without even thinking about it. So I think I had a moment where I just realised that there was something I could do that I'd never thought of before. And after that, I was just obsessed. I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. No one's going to stop me. This is what I'm going to do. And I was going to kind of follow the normal path and go to drama school and do things like that. But things just worked out in a way that I didn't have to do that. But I don't know. I'm very, very lucky because I had a moment where I just knew this is the one thing I will do in my life. And so many people don't have that. And even, when I was your age, I had teachers not letting me choose my GCSE options. They're like, no, don't do dance and drama. You should definitely do a language and do history so you can go to a Russell Group uni. And I'd be like, no, I want to perform. I want to do these things. I got to a point with my A-levels where I was only doing drama and performing arts. So when I went to quit school, I was like, can't tell me not to quit. I'm only studying performance and I'm going to go and do the job. You can't not let me go now. So,
no.
I don't know. That wasn't a very clear answer, but I know I'm very lucky in just, I knew what I wanted to do because the pressure of having to decide what you want to do. I don't know if you feel that right now, Theresa, but like, it drove me insane. When I was 15, 16, that pressure to suddenly just pick one thing and that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. No. No. I was lucky I knew, but for so many of my friends who are like, have gone to uni and they've done degrees just because they feel like they should have done degrees. And they don't know why they've done a degree in a certain thing. It's just like, well, that's what I should do, so I will do that.
Like, even talking about, like, pressure and stuff like that. In year 6, my primary school, we did Bugsy Malone and I've got Blousy Brown.
Brilliant.
One of my favourite productions. And then even in 2018, I performed a play called The Tide at the Young Vic. And then ever since then, I have been in
Young Vic.
Yeah. It was a nice experience. And then from there, it's like, well, I've grown up. I have now this political idea, but then I still do performing arts. And I was picking my A-levels, and someone was saying to me, "Well, Theresa, if you want to work in the Houses of Parliament, if you want to do law, politics, why are you going to pick drama as an A-level?" Well, I mean, I've looked at informed choices. It doesn't say that I can't pick these subjects. And at the end of the day, because I want to become the first female Black Prime Minister.
Yes, Theresa. Yes.
But it would be a nice dream. Like, I want people to know that even though you have this workaholic side, you've got this thing that you're really passionate about, you can also be laid back with it as well, because acting is fun. It teaches you different things. You get to meet different people and you learn life lessons. So
it's so important to have like a creative side. I think like it's amazing if you have the knowledge to be able to become the Prime Minister and go into law, and that's amazing knowledge to have. But if you don't have a creative side, I think you'd fall back on social interaction, on like, that sort of thing. I think it would be quite difficult for you in that area. And so by doing the creative side, you're an all-rounder. You're able to do everything because you can look after yourself. Creative outlets really important. Socially, you'll be amazing, and you'd have the knowledge, so you'll be winning.
And also, doesn't creativity go hand in hand with business to some degree? Like, we're looking at making the world different. We've got to be creative in thinking about how we're going to make this world as fabulous and beautiful and equal as it one day will be. And I kind of feel like acting goes into everything a little bit. When you're giving those speeches, standing on that podium, like, yes, you are yourself. You are Theresa and you're doing that. But also, like, you can add a little bit of some sort of character. I mean, maybe it's just because when I get dressed and I put on an outfit, I just feel like I'm someone else. I don't know if anyone else is like that. You put me in a suit, I will... something will happen to me in a suit. I don't know. I just think performance is in so much, in so many ways, and just the way that we speak to each other and present ourselves, and it's incredible to be able to express yourself emotionally, and I think that acting can give you that way of, you know, communicating and understanding people. Acting is basically empathy, really, isn't it? Yeah. It's understanding a character so well that you can become them. And if you have that, then that can only help in politics when you're trying to understand other people and their positions and helping them. Everything ties into everything. The fact that, like, teachers saying, if you choose this subject or not for A-levels or GCSEs, and making it out like that will affect your entire life is just absolute BS.
It will affect the school more, won't it? Because if you go to a high level school, then it looks fantastic for them. So yeah, just pick what you want. I definitely like my GCSEs were like Spanish, history, geography, like all the ones, because they were like, it would be really great if you did this. But after that, you're like, that hasn't helped me in any way. I basically failed history. I failed all of these things because didn't like them, didn't enjoy them, couldn't do it.
It's easy to think as well, isn't it, that that's all you then can do. And then, like, especially if your teachers are telling you, oh, you need to pick this, and then you leave school. And often, it happens so often where people will fall into jobs that they don't necessarily want to do because that's all they think they're able to do. So breaking out from that and like you said, Leash, all round it and doing all of it. Also, just going back to like the Prime Minister thing, because you clearly are going to be Prime Minister. We spoke about this before, I think, on one of our episodes, which is like the amazing thing now that's happening is if more people like you are pushing to go into those types of careers, what's going to happen is essentially like the whole game is going to change, because now the people up there, like, we can't relate to that. So people tend to not understand what's going on. We don't, like, you know, understand a lot about politics because they don't connect with us in that way. Whereas people like you would be able to speak to such a wider range of people. Do you know what I mean? Not just, you know, a certain small elite group of people, which is what it seems to be at the moment.
100%. And that's what we need.
Sorry for all the pressure, Theresa, but that's
It's on you.
But I think it's coming. Changes have to be coming. There's no way that the past year can have happened and change not happen after this. And obviously, change isn't going to be easy. It's not going to be one day, oh, I've woken up and the patriarchy's gone. It won't be that. It's going to be slow.
Yeah.
But I think we're getting there.
Yeah, for sure.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we definitely are.
It's happening. The ball is rolling.
Hopefully. That's the optimistic trend I tried to go on, and then terrible things happen and you're like, oh... is nothing changing at all? But I guess we all just have to keep doing our best and doing what we can do in whatever way works best for us. Yeah, and there are just so many ways. I mean, when we talk about changing our system and our structure, like, of the world we're living in, everything is so messed up. We kind of need to take everything apart and rebuild it. And that means, I mean, does that make sense to anyone, or am I going off on a ramble?
Yeah, you're good.
I'm talking like systemic racism. Okay, well, then we need to unpick the system and rebuild that system so that doesn't exist anymore. That's just where I look at things. But I don't think that's an overnight thing. I think it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. To
get people in a place where their ears are open. But now everyone's ears are open.
Yeah.
And we're talking.
And
it's slowly. It's making me excited. I'm quite excited right now. I feel like we are, like, getting somewhere, you know? Maybe?
Yeah, no, you're right.
100%.
And it's true, like, it's not going to happen overnight, but the ball is definitely rolling, and with, you know, conversations are happening.
And I don't think that ball can stop rolling now.
No, you know, it won't.
Some of the things that people have seen in the last year, some of the things that people have read that they didn't, you know, but the things that people have seen and read which they didn't know existed before, or the injustices that people were once blind to and now have seen, can't be unseen.
Mhm.
You can't go back and reverse this year. All of that is done now, and that will stay in people's brains, and hopefully the world will change. Theresa's going to make the world change.
Yes. Cheers, Theresa.
I'm sorry for putting so much pressure on you to change the world. It's not on you. I'm happily taking some of this pressure as well. I'll do my bit.
Exactly. The last 2 years, we've had so much happen, so many protests happening. There is change on the horizon. Things are slowly happening. And maybe even quicker than they have done before, because more people are open to talking about it and have had this time to talk about it. And
the concern is, what if those people feeling the wrath are the people who are in power and who still have the control?
Polarization of like one side, the other side, and then as you were saying, Ella-Rae, like obviously what we saw in America and what kind of like a little bit of what it is like here as well. We're in our echo chamber and then everyone else is in theirs, and we feel like everyone's on our page or whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think hopefully it's a ripple effect, trickle effect, whatever you call it. And as you were saying, it's like a slow, just becoming more normalized. Like I know in schools, so much more than when we were at school, like what is right and wrong is very different from what was right and wrong when I was at school. And that's really positive to see in terms of like, you know, young people standing up for each other and standing up for what's right, and like, you know, not accepting kind of discrimination and like, you know, negative behaviour towards each other based on certain things. So that is really positive, and I think that is a new generation, obviously what we're talking about. I don't know what you think, Theresa, at school, like what is it, what's kind of like, you know, do you feel like people are on the right page, right track?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when, you know, how can I put it? When like bad things happen in the media, so like murders of black people, innocent people that haven't done anything wrong, when justice is being served, you hear like the conversations and the opinions of what people have, and then when you actually sit down and listen to it, you can see that this person is aligned to what this person is saying, and that's aligning to that. So you can see there's a flow of thoughts that are moving in the same direction, and I think it just brings it back to the point where that change. I think once people are able to fully we've accepted reality, now it's to come together to be one, like that one force. I think that's when you'll see that change. Now is the time that people need to start fusing together like an army in England or in the UK, coming together, and then when we stand up with that one idea and that one thought, it can.
I agree with
change.
everything you just said, Theresa.
That's the power, because the thing is, like, and Grace, what you just said as well, polarizing ideas and all of us being stuck in our little algorithm worlds where everyone agrees with us. That's so, can I swear?
yes.
So fucking dangerous. That's so dangerous. So what? I just go on my phone. This is why I try not to go on my phone. I go on my phone and I'm in a world of people who agree with me, who feel the same about the world as me. That's not a true reflection of the world. I need to talk to the people who don't agree with me to, hopefully change their mind, or to understand where they're coming from, to know why they think this thing that is abhorrent to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Otherwise, we just continue to be right and wrong. One side thinks they're right, the other side thinks they're wrong. There needs to be something in between. You know what I mean? We can't just have, like, left and right. We need to find the fucking Lib Dems. Where are the Lib Dems of the world? You know what I mean? Like, we need the common ground. we need that common ground, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all the same thing. All of these structures and ways that we hate each other are all, you know what I mean? They're like, sorry, this is so bad because it's a podcast. I'm using my hands to describe a feeling. I just feel like we're all just animals. At the end of the day, we're all animals.
We are.
We're all exactly the same. All of these ways that we hate each other need to be unpicked so that we can just get together as animals and start again and say, hey, you're an animal, you're a different colour. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're less than me. That doesn't mean anything at all other than you are that, I am this, but we're both humans. Let's just remember we're all human beings.
I'm gonna say when people like delete that kind of thought of like superiority, because I'm so sorry that we were both created in the same way.
Yeah.
We were born in the same public hospital. I was born in the same public hospital. What makes you think that you're better than me? So when people can delete that, like, I'm superior than you, I am better than you, and like be on like a humble stage, then people, you know, people will start to understand each other.
But the superiority is so often not even something people are conscious of. Now people are becoming conscious of it. Fantastic. We're starting to understand it. But it's the people who are conscious of it but know that it works
in their favour.
In their favour. They're the people who we gotta check out. Do you know what I mean? They're the people who, I don't know, need to be replaced. Need to be replaced. Maybe. I don't know. It's a very, very, very old-fashioned way of thinking that is connected to. It's funny. I was finishing writing a big piece on this yesterday, so it's all in my mind. But it's all just tied to our shared global history. And for some reason, at some point, some white person was like, "We're better," and that's just stuck, right? Do you know what I mean? At some point, that just happened, and that's just stuck, and no one has tried to unstick that. You know what I mean? It's just been like, okay, this works. Yeah, we're the Western world, so this is great. But it's a problem. It's been a problem since the start. That's never served humanity as a whole. That's only ever served one group of people. And clearly where we are now, in this world where racism is so subtle and so painful, but also at the same time so outward and so violent and so abhorrent, like, clearly we need to go back to that start point where someone decided they were better than someone else and figure out everything else afterwards. And do you know, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Even by saying that, it reminds me, I don't know who's going to listen to this, but the UK is built on neo-colonialism. Like, if you think about it, let's say, for example, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, gold, stuff like gold, the natural resources. Because if you think about it that way, it's like you've come to my country to take things, and then you have the audacity to say you're better than me, but you stole. Literally, the UK is built on slavery, neo-colonialism, racism, and it's just they think they're better. Like, until you realize that you came and you took you had a whole colony of theft. You stole from my country, and then you ruled us, and then people found oh yeah, we're better than you. I think this comes down to people actually thinking about it deep. But how can they say that when they've taken something from us? That's how the UK cannot survive without other countries' resources. And
but that also makes comments, British comments, like, go back to where you came from. Excuse me, go back to the place which your ancestors colonized a long time ago and stole stuff from. Excuse me. It's just such a ignorant comment. I feel like that's maybe it's just my perspective. I feel like go back to where you came from is a very British type of racism, because we're an island. We're all very small on a little British island, but this island's done a lot of damage globally to a lot of people.
There's a really good stand-up thing by James Acaster where he's basically like, we've stolen everything and we don't even care because we've put them all in museums for everybody to see. We're just showing off that we've stolen all these things. We're just so, like, not oblivious, we kind of just feel like we're above it.
Well, when you think about it, isn't it really messed up that British people just decided to go to Egypt and just like, oh, let's just dig up some mummies. They might have been buried with religious intention, but sure, let's just dig them up and put them in our museums. Yeah. Why not? Just forget their culture. It can just be an artifact for us to come and look at because it's interesting, because it's different. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so passionate.
And they can commercialise on it. They can use the money and to help them and their economy.
Yeah, and then continue monetizing. Yeah. It's all about money. That's the thing. Like, when you break it all down, it's all about money and capitalism, and it just makes you want to hit your head against a wall. Because like,
even stuff like the crown jewels. I really don't want to be the person to say it, but all of those jewels that you see on royalty heads, all of those rings. It doesn't belong to the UK.
Yeah, it's
like,
so true.
It just
so
doesn't.
true.
The UK is so plain. Literally, it's literally a bottle of jam. That's how plain the UK is. It's the jam that makes it sweeter. So the jam that they've stolen from other countries is what the sweetness is, the money that they're getting, the economic profit. It's just facts. And no, if they feel triggered from this, then you should do the right thing and restore the land that you've broken. Because really and truly, why did my parents have to come in the first place? Is a question. Why did they have to come in the first place? You've broken down the country they once in. Because before colonialism, before all of that, like, all of these nations were fine in peace. You know what I'm saying? We were okay because of how bad countries have become since things have been taken away and all our resources have been taken away. It's had an impact. It's had a ripple effect on things like education.
The thing is, it's so hard for British people to talk about this because there's so much pride in being British, in inverted commas, pride in being British. We're taught all of the good things and no one wants to face up to the bad things that this country has done, but the bad things are just as important to learn about as the good things. Like, I don't know, it's so confusing because I'm like, what's my identity? Who am I? Am I British? I don't chime with any of those things, but I was born here. And then this is just how I approach things. Like, I am not responsible for the actions of my ancestors, my white ancestors or my black ancestors. That has nothing to do with me. I exist here in the world as a mixed race woman, and what I do now is what matters. So when I'm looking back at that history, that difficult history that is black or white or whatever fucking colour, I'm not looking at it thinking, that's my fault, I've been bad. I'm thinking, okay, that happened there and that happened there and this means this. And this all means this now today, and I'm in control of what I do now today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So instead of attaching our personal feelings to the past, we need to look at the past and what this country, not us personally, have done, what this country in the past has done to other countries. Take responsibility. Say, okay, that was all really bad. I didn't do it, but I benefit off the system that exists now. Yeah. I want to start unpicking the system that exists now to make it fair and to make it an even playing ground for everyone, to fix the problems that my ancestors created. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Use your place, use your space, use your voice, and also just hold your hand up and be humble, as what you were saying, Theresa, and be honest. I think the worst is when it's that kind of taking no responsibility, just covering it up, and obviously not teaching it at all in school, so that even unless you seek it out, unless you go uni and study history or whatever, you might even have no idea about any of this stuff that we're talking about now, and that isn't that person's fault. But if the curriculum doesn't teach you it, you need to go out there and learn it and understand it.
And why are some parts of history taught to us in so much detail? Well, we're made out to be the good people.
I had a conversation with my sister about this because she's mixed race. She grew up in North Wales and she was the only black girl in school. And I remember her telling me that in history classes, the only black history they would cover was always about slavery. So whenever the teacher would be teaching history, it was always about slavery, which then made the white kids in the class associate black history as always being so negative, and there was never any kind of positive black history that was taught. And she said that she remembers whenever they'd say, okay, this is what we're teaching today, her whole body would just be feel dread, because it was just she would feel this kind of, I don't know, this feeling of just uncomfortableness, because it was kind of it's not an accurate representation of the whole history. Why can't we just make it broader and actually cover what's actually happened, and just more details about it?
I was gonna say, and I think it just the British pride, and on top of that, they're not willing to accept what they've done. They're just not willing to accept it, because in Nigeria, for example, they teach them English, they teach them UK history, they teach them modern foreign languages that they do in this country, but you can see the imbalance. Because why is it that they're teaching UK history? Only time they teach about Black history is October, and I can say Ella-Rae Roman Catholic Girls' School, I'm calling them out. It literally is the same thing over and over again. And when you speak on it, in fact, I remember I was talking about this and the teacher looked at me funny. And so I was like, Theresa, Miss is looking at you funny. I was like, listen, I'm going to say what I have to say because it's the truth. It's just facts. People say I'm free will to talk about what I want to talk about without having to feel guilty or having to feel upset about how the teacher's going to feel. The UK don't care about how black people or people of mixed heritage feel when you've stolen from our land.
I think the main problem comes from the fact that, like I've said before, you know, this country still benefits from the things that were done in the past. It's not something that's just ended. You know, racism didn't just end. The slave trade didn't just end. It has continued to affect our world up till today. I think that's why people find it hard to talk about. People don't want to talk about it because it really, really involves reanalyzing your life and where you stand and how you got where you are and what everything means. But I hate that you had to go through that, Theresa, because you should never feel like, especially in somewhere like class, in the PS fucking HE class where you're meant to be talking about these things, to feel like you can't use your, I mean, you used your voice, of course you did, because you're Theresa, but to feel like you can't in that kind of situation is just heartbreaking. I mean, I have so many complicated feelings about my racial identity because I am mixed race. It's just very, very confusing, like watching all these conversations happen, and my white guilt says, oh, you don't have a voice, you shouldn't say anything, but then I'm also half black, so I do have a voice and I should be able to talk about these things. It's very, very confusing and very overwhelming, but at the same time necessary. And like, I'm not scared of being a bit uncomfortable. You know, okay, I like, it's really uncomfortable, all of it, but I would much rather feel uncomfortable and have these conversations than just continue existing, not understanding my identity and feeling, just feeling like a, don't know, outsider.
Yeah.
Which is not fun. I'm not an outsider, I'm an insider.
You are an
British.
insider.
I am, but I am.
All of us are.
Theresa, here's a question for you. Would you describe your nationality as British? Do you feel like a British person?
No, not at all. Not at all. No. And on forms, I say I'm Black African because I don't belong here. The only reason why I'm here is because of, you know, another opportunity. My parents came. My dad was born in Nigeria. My mother was born here. My mum went back to Nigeria for her childhood. They came here to find a better opportunity for me, so that I don't have to suffer like those innocent kids. Who's gonna pay my school fees, or who's gonna buy my textbooks, or what uniform am I going to wear, or what's gonna be my next meal, you know? And that's just based UK colonialism. And it's so sad. I don't even want to cry, but it's so sad because every time you say, you know, I believe I'm Black British, people have arguments with you. And I think I've learned to accept who I am as a person. I'm a Black girl and I'm happy to be African. I take joy and I take pride in it because I know what my country is. I know what my continent is. I know what we have. I know what the UK have done. I have educated, make sure that people don't trick me into believing this false ideology of the UK is better than Africa. The UK is better than South America. It is absolute nonsense.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've watched the documentary Black and British, A Forgotten History. They really shedded light on Black people and how they really built this country up to what it is today. And it's so interesting how, you know, time has changed and we can see how Black people are treated in the society we live in today.
So that changed my life. I have never, ever seen myself in history other than slavery. I've only ever thought a version of me in the past only existed as the product of rape between a slave owner and a slave. That's genuinely how I felt. And I watched that documentary and I went, okay, so I existed here. I existed in this country a long time ago. And I suppose that's why now I'm like, yeah, I'm British. I'm so British. I was born here. My dad was born here. My mum was born here. I have so many British values. Ethnically, I'm half Jamaican, but I've never been to Jamaica. That's not my culture. My culture is British, which makes me feel like, honestly, Theresa, hearing you talk about that documentary is like, I might cry, because it meant so much to me to see that and to know that, I don't know, I know I'm valid. I know that in myself, but to feel that from the outside world, I was like, okay, yeah, I can talk. I belong here. I belong here as much as anyone else, and no one can tell me otherwise. It gave me something that reiterated my existence, and that my existence is not something wrong or something random or something incredibly new and unusual, and oh, look at you're the culmination of black and white, wow, you are like progress of how far the world has come. No, I've existed for a long time in so many different shapes and forms, and yeah.
Just talking about that is a call for change, a call to the education system in the UK, a call to Gavin Williamson, who should have resigned in January. Why is it that history isn't taught? Why don't we learn about the Windrush generation? Why don't we learn about the stolen jewels? Why? UK medicine. The main reason why I dropped history was because I don't want to learn about history that is not true. Because all of that's fake. So sorry. It may have happened, but if my history is not included, then it counts as fake. I bet there are probably black people is ignored. New names are being given. And basic inventions. The hairdryer. Are there not black people that made it? That's not talked about, is it? So until that is done, I don't want to learn history. I wouldn't want my children to learn UK history, because unfortunately, that's not my history. What I know is what the UK have done to other innocent. We had no like affiliation with the UK until they decided we're going to invade and take gold. We're going to invade and take silver. We're going to invade and take copper. All of those kind of stuff. Now, I think the one opportunity I have to speak to people in Parliament, honestly, is going to make my day. I'm going to speak my
Theresa,
mind.
we can 100% get you in Parliament. We can do that. You know the Black Curriculum, right, Theresa? So the CEO of the Black Curriculum was part of the Girls Network. She was an ambassador, and she's all about changing the history curriculum the whole year round to make it actually reflect the true history of the UK. And I'm going to hook you up, because I think
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Woo! For our final question, just so that we can wrap it all up into one little beautiful hug, what advice would you give to females listening, females like yourselves?
Okay, to younger girls and girls everywhere, you know what you want in your soul. Do you know what I mean? Don't listen to people telling you what you should or shouldn't do. Like Theresa said, it's your life. Make your own decisions and trust your instincts, and use your voice, because it doesn't matter what your voice is, it's valid. You should never ever feel like you shouldn't speak, or that you can't speak, or that people won't want to hear you, because someone will always have an ear to listen to what you have to say. Yeah, I think that's it. You're always important. There's nothing more heartbreaking than even thinking about myself, feeling like I can't speak. I can speak. My voice matters. Your voice matters. Every woman's voice and every man's voice, every person's voice matters. So yeah, just speak. Speak, chat about all the awkward, uncomfortable things. Chat about your mental health. Chat about race. Chat about the things you don't want to talk about, because when you do talk about them, you feel a hell of a lot better, I think.
Theresa, what golden nuggets you got?
I think for me, girls and women who are of ethnic minority, educate yourself. I think that's very important. Educate yourself. Learn about your history. Learn about your family generations. Learn about where you come from. And then educate others. Don't feel guilty when you speak about it. Say it as it is. Say it as it is. Say it with passion. Say it with zeal. You don't know who you're going to affect. There'll be a catalyst so that when someone hears that, they then educate themselves. Let it become a ripple effect. You know, that flow of ideas, the flow of thought, we can fuse together, like I said before, and create a change and talk to people and tell them about the truth. Let them know what they're doing is wrong, and hopefully there will be a change. And I believe a change will come. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, what incredible piece of advice you've both just shared. I think my piece of advice would just be, don't be afraid to question things and ask questions and disrupt. And I think so often, our pathway between the age of 0 and 18 is essentially mapped out for us. And sometimes we just kind of go with it and go along with it. But actually, like, change will only happen if we start questioning things, like Theresa has done in her lessons, like we've been doing today. And I think, don't apologise for your ideas and your thoughts and your contributions, and don't be afraid to shake things up, get involved, ask those difficult questions, because it's those difficult questions that are going to help us move forward. And yeah, find a place where those questions are welcome, because that is where you deserve to be.
Well, thank you girls so much for being on the podcast. It was incredible. And I'm so glad that people get to hear your voices. Thank you, and I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Thank you so much, ladies. This has been amazing. It's been so great. Thank you.